It's time for Who Watch, time in relative blackness in space.
Hey everyone, DJ here. Nick and I are back for season 5 of Who Watch to discuss series 14 of Doctor Who. In this episode, we'll be discussing the series premiere, which is technically episode 2, and it's titled Space Babies.
Space Babies was written by the showrunner Russell T Davies and directed by Julia Ann Robinson. The official synopsis is Ruby learns the Doctor's amazing secrets when he takes her to the far future. There, they find a baby farm run by babies. But can they be saved from the terrifying boogeyman?
So like Nick said, Ruby enters the TARDIS. We pick up right after the Christmas special ends. So if you did not watch the Christmas special that they're counting as episode 1, go do that. She gets the new companions feel and really good detail, more than we usually get, at least for one episode, which is a note that we'll come back to. But we learn about the universe, learn about the Doctor, a whole bunch of things in that moment. The Doctor is like proving what the TARDIS can do, which is like the Doctor's favorite thing to do at any point in time. So they go way back to the dinosaurs. Ruby makes a joke about changing history by stepping on a butterfly. And then, of course, she steps on a butterfly and temporarily changes that. And the Doctor realizes, oh, there might be something special about Ruby in particular in how we navigate these space travels. But everything is avoided. They get back in the TARDIS. They go forward in time and they land on a space station with an abandoned baby farm in future space. It's like an Earth colony space station where they left these babies, and we'll get into it. There's also a boogeyman on the space station. And running away from the boogeyman, the Doctor and Ruby discover that there are infants, or not infants, actually. There are babies running the space station.
They are physically babies, but I think they were born 6 years ago. So I don't know how old they are, like mentally, because they are also baby-like.
I mean, they're kids, right?
But they're kids. They are like very.
It's the proper term, but
physically infant, mentally perhaps kindergartner.
Captain Poppy is their queen. We love Poppy and all the babies. We love watching 15 and Ruby like hug and interact with the babies. We also meet Nan E, which at first we think is like a computer situation, but actually is a human named Jocelyn who has been helping care for the babies, but hiding from them because she's afraid of both breaking her heart and theirs if like something crazy happens or like she has to die. While the Doctor and Ruby are like catching up with Jocelyn and trying to figure out what's happening, Eric, the infant, goes to confront the boogeyman and face his fears because Ruby has inspired him. And he almost gets got, but the Doctor and Ruby help him out, as do the other infants who show up with whole flamethrowers. There's just a lot happening in this episode.
They got on their little strollers.
It was very cute. Very in our community, folks are talking about like the baby genius vibes of them like working together. Eventually the Doctor is able to like test the boogeyman DNA and realize it's one made out of actual boogers. And then two, they kind of have this theory about how the space station machine has birthed both the human space babies, but also this boogeyman baby thing. I don't know what counts the baby anymore, quite frankly. Jocelyn has a little moment of panic, a little fight or flight, and tries to kill the boogeyman. Is like, you gotta go.
To be fair and clear, Jocelyn did not hear that whole thing, so it's not like she was listening to them and be like, the space station also made this baby. She was like, we finally got the monster in the airlock. We finna put this monster out there.
She's ready to go. This has been the moment.
Which was the best? I have to say, that was a very good plan. It was a great plan. I was supportive of the plan with the idea of her not knowing what was happening.
Yes.
But yeah.
But while Jocelyn is in go mode, the babies running the space station are like actually horrified. They're like, Jocelyn, please. Like,
they're like, child.
They're trying to process their own emotions around this. Obviously, the doctor eventually stops the boogeyman baby from being ejected into space, and they're able to explain the situation to Jocelyn, figure out that the space station has 6 years worth of baby poop that they can use as fuel to get them to a nearby planet where they believe that babies can receive asylum, which is another thing we'll get to. 15 offers Ruby keys to the TARDIS. She accepts. He doesn't fully explain until after she accepts that he will not be taking her back to the church on Ruby Road. Says, I will do anything for love, but I won't do that, Ruby. And so it's unclear whether she's really like accepted it or whether this is going to be a Rose situation where she keeps bringing it up. But yeah, there's that. And we get to go see Mommy and Grandma when they take the TARDIS back to the Sunday apartment, and just to do like a check on Ruby's family, which I frankly appreciated because I wasn't cool with her running out on them when they just got a whole new infant to take care of. So that was cool. And then we see the doctor checking Ruby's DNA. And I don't think we see a full read on the situation, but even the fact that he thought to check means that we probably got a mystery on our hands. So that is that's the episode.
So it's become tradition that we do like a rants and raves. For the 60th, we did Rose's rants and raves. So to keep it on theme and to keep it like with a current Black character, we got to keep us in there. We're doing Cherry Chai. So Cherry is Ruby's grandma, and all she needed from the people was her tea. Basically. She did not get her tea, and so we are here to make sure that every episode she gets her tea. So we will be spending this time to get in more detail about certain points and to talk about like our perception of the things that occurred. So as it'll be fun, it'll be crazy, it'll be all those things. And we have thoughts and we have opinions. So yeah, every week we'll spill on the things we loved and hated in the episode. BNC Baddies can join in future recordings to they can also spill their tea. We might bring it up on the episode. So if you want to talk your mess, you can just hop on in. You know what I mean? Join our Patreon. Join us on the show. We will be taking y'all's thoughts into account because we love to have a key with our community. So period. And I think we're gonna start out with like a good one. We're gonna start with a positive one. Mm-hmm. And we both agreed on this one. So this is one that we both clocked immediately, which is the doctor front loading all of the important information when Ruby is first stepping into the TARDIS. It was very the most Cliff Notes version, but also the information she needed. It was very much I was adopted. The people that raised me use titles, so the doctor stuck. You know what I mean? I'm the last of the Time Lords. This crowd travels through time and space. Those are the basics. You will get the rest as we travel, as we go. Usually, it's time and space, and you be like, cool. Fine. And then you learn the details as you are running for your life or whatever the situation is. Or after the doctor has seen a Dalek and has a panic attack and you damn, what's that? And he's like, oh yeah, Dalek. So it's very much, I really super appreciated the fact that he's not playing games. With my original note, the only note I took, completely, when I watched these episodes initially, I took an edible. I took an edible 20 minutes before I started the first episode. So, it didn't really hit during the first episode. But that being said, I had already mentally settled in. So I was chilling. So my only note was he ain't playing no games. Ain't no game playing doctor, right? This doctor is not with the puzzles. It's very much this is the facts, it's what it is, boom bop. So I appreciated that. Because I'm we already been through some stuff. Why do we have to Like, I don't have to pull this out of you all the time.
I will say, I appreciate it from the audience standpoint, like, especially because I hope that, there are new viewers coming in, both just because they're like fans of Shitty, but then also like with the Disney distribution, whatever, like maybe more people have access to it. So I'm a fan of it from like an audience, like, yes, get them the facts, let's keep it moving. But then from the side of like the doctor, I was like a little bit like, are you good? It felt like an avoidance almost, right? Like it felt like the doctor had this like, we're just moving on, like I don't want to sit in this.
I didn't take it that way. I took it more like, let's just get this out the way now because it's gonna come up, and so I'm just gonna give you what's important for you to know in this moment. Like it didn't come off as avoidant to me, but I think it's also because we're talking about this in past tense, because I think it would have maybe felt that way the moment it happened, but like as we will see throughout this, I feel like he's just very forthcoming in a way that is very unexpected for the doctor. So I'm like, maybe it's one of those things though. Like, it's kind of one of those things of like, I'm like, oh. Well, no, it's one of those. I think it's a type of cope. That's I think it's a both and situation. There's a type of cope where you just like speak it like, because half of the like pain is the fact that it's something you carrying by yourself. So like speaking it out is already like doing half the job of like, okay, we are starting from a place of we all know this is the fact. But I feel like
the way he like asked her to come on this like TARDIS, right? Even like giving her the keys, it was just sort of like, here, the key, you want it? Like it was like there was no like, sort of the doctor sometimes it's just back and forth, like, but your family, but what you'd be giving up, like. But see, I
think like, that to me,
I want a companion. I want you to be here. You coming or not? It was just very interesting.
See, that to me was growth though, because that's very much like that's what he want. Why are you out here picking up all these folks? You make it like you do an favor. But I like that he's very much like. But I love that he knows that he's like, he's already been with Ruby. He knows she about that life. And he's like, do you want to post that with your boy? Yes or no? Like, I don't know.
I just feel like the companions deserve the little, like, even if it's like a, like a fine print, like, boop, 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 boop. I feel like they deserve a little bit of that. And he was just kind of like, I mean, you trying to travel or not?
But then the difference is between him and previous iterations is also that like first he's already met the family. There's no like that level of like your family don't need to know what we're doing, what we up to. He literally parked in their apartment and it's about to pop out. Like
that was after though.
But what I'm saying is the way his relationship with them is already different from the outset than it is with other companions. Like he's already met the mom and grandma. They've already had a whole key. I don't know I can't recall if she knows like canonically, like for a minute you did not have Ruby. I don't think she knows that. But like, so mind you, in their universe, like that was gone for about 15, 20 minutes. They came right back. Like, so that's a continuing conversation for them. So like for me, it worked because he's not operating from a place of haven't thought about this a little bit in retrospect. Like the doctor be having kind of abusive tendencies in terms of like isolating people from their people. Like you be with them, and when you with me. Kind of like, it's like a weird thing I noticed, and I guess I noticed it because now he's like, I'm gonna drop you off at your house. We're gonna pull up. Your mama gonna know who I am. Like I don't know, it was just different. But I think that's why like all those things are like that. Him just be like, oh, I want you to come. I want you to be my companion. All that stuff is very much like let's skip, because I think that's also like they kind of mind that for content, or like they mind that for story, but it gets old because it's just like Spider-Man don't want to tell Mary Jane that he's Spider-Man, and every version of this damn story that never works out. Let's stop it. Let's try a different approach, right? Like you gotta wait till that person almost died for you. Like maybe I should tell him, right? And I feel like the doctor's done this enough that the doctor is like, I'm gonna just start off with like this, what it is, what it will be. Period, point blank. You down? No, all right. And I think it's also less like he makes it less of a life or death thing. Like if you come, you come. If you don't want to come, I gotta get you home.
The life of death is the thing. That's what I'm saying.
No, I mean like the choice to go
about it that way. But it is though. So like,
but that's like locking. But no, what I'm saying is like, well, I think she knows that because she spent the time, and like she asked him multiple times. Like, this is just you. He like, this is what I do. This is how I live. This is what it is. Like, so if you are experiencing this live in the action, And then at the end of it, he's like, do you want to do this full time? You can be like, no, actually, that was crazy. That boogeyman could have been the villain. We could have actually been dealing with some real life, real crazy stuff, but that's not her take on it. She's like, oh, that was kind of fun, low key. So like, I'm with it. I don't like, to me, it doesn't have to be explicit because the experience itself tells you what the experience will be like. And he's like, yeah, I've done this. And he said so many things throughout the episode that A suggests like, I didn't been in this and I didn't been in some shit. I've been the problem. I am the problem, right? Like, so I'm like, if you take your experience, you take the things he says and the way he reacts to the things you say, you have enough information. Like, I don't think you have to be handheld to be like, if you come with me, you may die. Like, I'm like, that's clear because every time I've been with you since I met you, we've been on some like we've been in danger. So that to me doesn't feel like it needs to be said explicitly because I think that's one of those ones where like,
it's like
you are in it.
22 though, right? And so like it's this thing that happens with the doctor where like the more like danger and escape the companions experience, the more their trust builds in him. And they think, even though he's telling them like, this is a risk, this is dangerous, I can't protect you, they're like, oh, the doctor got it. The doctor got it. Until the doctor don't got it.
That's their fault. That's their own fault.
I'm just saying, it's like,
I ain't got nothing for it.
It's like the sort of ongoing, like, you know, that balance of like,
but also
because she's like, yeah, we could have died, but I think in her mind, she's like, oh, but he wouldn't let that happen though. It's like,
no,
girl.
You know what? I don't think she's that. I think she's just a person who doesn't care. Like, and not don't care about their life way, but it's not scared of things from like, she doesn't operate from a place of fear in general. Like, you think like they show her, she in the club, she performing, she doing it. Like, she's a person who just does things that she thinks will be fun. Like, that's what the take I have of her as a character. Like, even when with the baby, she like, I'm jumping on this shit. Whatever, like, that was her instinctive action. So I think this is more of a situation of like how I think of Martha. Like, I would have been about this life regardless, but the fact that you popped up and it gave me an opportunity to be about this life is like, I take her as a kind of character who would be in the mess regardless, but like now she got a way to be in the mess. And kind of like similar to, obviously we don't get to keep Grace, but like a character who no matter what wasn't popping off, they was gonna be in it because that's just how they are. They are like go toward, you know, toward the dangerous type of situation, or just move from a place of like curiosity or a place of like wanting to know. It's not a fear. So I think it just worked. Now is she gonna get comfortable? She gonna forget? Probably, just because she's so, even in the episode.
I feel like by the next episode, by the next episode, even in this episode, ain't too comfortable.
Yeah, I'm about to say, like, this goes into my next one, so I can just segue. There's a point earlier in the episode when he's like, okay, now we didn't like when they get Eric about the paint, when they like, or not out the paint, they save Eric, they help save Eric. But when they get Eric away from the boogeyman, he's like, all right, now we clear to go to the TARDIS. I'm about to see what's going on with this boogeyman. And she was like, I'm not leaving you by yourself. Like, let's go. And he took that. He said, boom, okay, she's with the shit. I also take that as a thing he was like calculating in his mind. Like, I like that response. That was a good response. But like, he noted, okay, they chilling. He letting her come along because at the end of the day, she opted into that, right? But then later, when Miss John's trying to blow homeboy out the airlock, he was like, Ruby, go stop Joss. And she like she about to say something back. She about to be like, no, he's go stop Ruby. I mean, not Ruby. Go stop Joss. We are not, this is not a conversation. This is, I'm telling you what needs to be done.
Black teacher energy.
No, that's what I mean. So what the strong point is, or what the thing that I loved about that was that, like, I feel like this is a very early example of like, there's like a boundary setting thing and there's like an authority thing. Because I think the problem that happened in the previous iteration is that they did not operate from a place of like, this person has authority and the rest of us follow them, even though that's what it is. Mm-hmm. But then they would forget that. And then at times when we needed the doctor to be authoritative, the doctor had to remind them that they were the doctor, right? The doctor had to be like, hey, now I know we've been having a key in space, but actually, this is my shit. So I like that. And this is very much like, I'll let you hang around. You definitely, we can, if you want to come into danger with me, you come to danger with me. But when I say something, like when there is something that needs to happen, we ain't got time for me to remind you why this, you got to just listen, right? Like, because if she hadn't ran away at that moment, right? Like the timing didn't line up. She wouldn't have got the Johnson time. Boogeyman would have been out the window. Like he would have been gone. Like maybe the doctor too, because mind you, the doctor went up in there and said, I'm about to do this for the people, which is fine. So it's one of those things I like, because I'm like, I like the doctor. One of the things I like about the doctor is that they're like authoritative. Like you just like you, and I feel like when they take away that, and I get the point of kind of minimizing that a little bit, because you don't want the doctor to feel like they telling you, like, you know what I mean? Like you want them to feel like a peer, but I'm like, the doctor's not a peer. You got to know this. And like the audience has to know this. So I liked how they did that, like how that moment worked. But we see both sides of it. We see like there are times when I'm gonna let you say, no, I'm coming, because A, I feel like I still have control of this situation. You are also with me, so you kind of know what you're walking into, versus like, nope, we're not doing that. Nah. Please go do what we just discussed. We're not, this is not a back and forth. So I like that. And then also with the boundary of jumping ahead in the recap part, but like we had passed that. Like when he says, I can't take you back to where you were dropped off, and I won't. And I think that I won't is the key. Like that's also my quote, or one of my quotes is just like, I can't and I won't. The won't is like very much the thing of like, I shouldn't, right? It's not a thing that we can do for paradox reasons, but I also am just putting my foot down on like, this is not a thing I'm gonna do. And again, that's just a boundary. Like we're gonna set this boundary. And I think she like pivoted. I think she took that and was like understanding of it, but also like she kind of lived or didn't like the repercussions of messing with. Is she aware she was not in existence? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Right. So it's like, I don't know what her memory is of that. But it's one of those things like she saw how things ripple, I guess, in a way that I think she actually took that like, you know what, he's probably right. It's probably shenanigans. And she also sees, because they comment on it throughout the episodes, is that like the coincidence, she seems to be connected to a lot of coincidences. Mm-hmm. She seems to be like, once you find a layer or thread or whatever, somehow she is tied to it. So I think there's a level of her recognizing that also, because obviously it happened, but then there's like, so I think she's taking that like, okay, I'm not gonna ask again. That's clearly not happening. We're gonna abort that. Like she try to go around and like, okay, period. What if we go back the day before and look for a pregnant lady in the hospital? Or what? She might try to get around it, but I kind of feel like she's not going to. Again, it feels like a boundary that was put up, and like a thing that they like. It's not to say they're not gonna do it, like go back for some reason, but very much not a thing that's gonna happen, because Ruby is like, I need to go. It's not gonna be a Rose like gotcha situation. Oh, that's how I knew that man was lost in the sauce with Rose. I said no. Anyway, you smell like goose. But yeah, so those are like kind of the 2 points that I liked about the episode. And then what are some of yours?
Yeah, so like you said, I agreed with the sort of background, like boop boop boop, real quick detail. And kind of building on that, I just thought it was a good intro episode for folks coming in. Both the background, but then the like, okay, we're on a space station and something isn't quite right. Like just the plot line. We'll get into some of the like script choices made there, but in terms of like the sci-fi of it all, the timey-wiminess of it all, the like absurdity of the babies watching right. It was a lot of the things I love about Doctor Who in terms of it being just like quirky and out there, and like I couldn't really predict there was some I couldn't really predict fully how it would end up. So I just thought it was a fun plot line in that way. And then you kind of alluded to this with the coincidences that keep happening around Ruby and all of that. I really like the mystery that they're starting to build around her. Part of the mystery is like Ruby's search for her family, like her birth family and that background. And they do continue to like acknowledge and affirm that like her adopted family, it, you know,
It's
is
her family.
real family, you know, is important to her, should be like, they are trying to both affirm that and sort of affirm her interest in finding her birth family. But the way that they like, I'm just interested to see how it continues to come up. And it feels like rocky territory. I don't know. I want to look into if there are other Whovians or like adoptees kind of having conversations around how this is landing for them and like their kind of experience of these episodes. Because I feel uncertain. I don't know, you know, that I don't know one way or the other. I just know that I don't want to assume that it's being done well or not done well. I just have questions about it. Because yeah, it's between Ruby and then also the doctor and like everything that came up in Flux that he seems to also be alluding back to, right? It seems like, okay, this is going to be a theme for this series. Like this is going to be a thing that we are coming back to. And I hope that they continue to do it with intention, because it would be really shitty to have like a series that just potentially harmed a bunch of people because it didn't do that well. But so far, I like the way that the mystery is developing, and I like that it's kind of like, you know, whatever the doctor is unsure what's going on, that's a fun time when he's like, oh, like, what is this? So yeah, that was fun for me.
Yeah, and like I think I will say that like my take on it again is not a person who has been adopted or like a person, but I will say that what I do like, or what I am appreciating from an outsider perspective, is like the reaffirmation, the constant reminding everybody in different points of like the person who was abandoned is not ever, that's never on them. Like no matter how you come at it, whether it's being left at a portal or whatever, like wherever the doctor was found, versus being like a parent left you at a church, versus this other situation happened where just a lot of kids were like literally like babies left behind. I'm so sorry. Like, but that's what happened. Like it was just a whole thing. But I like that there's no version of this. Like there's a lot of things, and we will pick a part where it's like, what are you saying here? Where there's like two interpretations. This feels like a very clear interpretation. Like in no way do we want to ever suggest that the person who was left behind in these situations deserved it, or like it made sense. It's just like it's a thing that happened. You are like that happened to you, but like I feel like that is something that you can see is done well in terms of like the reiteration of that point. Now, how they deal with the politics and how they deal with the like where you place blame in these situations, I think it's that we'll circle back to that when we got like a little bullet point, just like politics section, because this episode, unfortunately, for me, have a lot of political points that it tried to drop in there and like address, but obviously because it's 47 minutes, I don't know, is that an hour? I don't know. But then it was like a lot of things that were mentioned that was like, okay, let me note that and we'll circle back. So we're gonna just cover all that at the end. At the end of this, like rants and raves, this shy section, because I think it encompasses a lot of them. So I think before we go to, so I did just say that about the like abandoned person. Got that out the way. About the like person not being at fault for being abandoned. Like as a fatherless child, I was like, yeah, man, I thought he didn't want me. I didn't want him either. It's fine. Like I did. Obviously, you want your parent, but like whatever. Like, once you know who they are, do you? You know, sometimes not knowing is better.
Real. Very, very real, child.
So I had two questions. My first question is not answerable. It might be answerable. I can actually probably Google it, but I'm not going to. Were those real babies in real like strollers that were like remote controlled, or was there like like somebody in a green? I'm trying to imagine them like the green suit pushing the strollers, because they look like that. Looked like that didn't look like the action strollers moved around. Didn't look like CGI. So I'm like, wait a minute, aren't there somebody like remote controlling these strollers with actual children strapped in them? But my other question, and so I have this listed as maybe it's like weakish because I don't know why it was happening. But the doctor, he kept the first time he said space babies, he was like, babies, space babies. And it was like cute. It was like a fun thing. Then the second time he said babies, oh, space babies. I was like, all right, bet. The baby's in space. This has been established. We all know where the baby's at. We all in space with the baby. Space. Okay, got it. Then like 4 or 5 more times, he corrected baby to space babies. And I'm trying to figure out why are you continuously correcting it? Because I haven't thought about this. And I guess I would just go right to it so that we can go. But in my mind, it's like othering the babies like they are not valid babies because they in space, which kind of undermines the whole episode if you're thinking of them as not right. Like it's like there's like planet babies and space babies. If you are making them separate, right? Like if you are making them separate, then you are othering them in a way that like doesn't. It's like you are constantly doing it though, right? So I don't know. That was bothering me because I'm like, okay, it was cute the first time. Need it again. I was like, okay, yeah, baby's in space, correct. And then he kept doing it. So I was like, okay. What's happening here? Thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's a fair question. And I honestly, I think that your note on like the othering is interesting. When I was watching, I kind of took it as, again, this reference to the fact that like they are in infant bodies, but have been alive for some time. I think it's like 6 years. And then also, it seemed like with whatever went wrong with like the education part of the machine that they have like intelligence even beyond that. So like have been alive for 6 years, but are possibly, intelligent even beyond that within this baby form. And so for me, it was less of like a othering, but like a
acknowledgement.
Yeah. Like just an acknowledgement of their like the,
No, that's fair. Cause they babies. Physically, and we call them babies, and we like
right, and they need like
babies, but they are not what they're not moving to the world. Like, okay, I'm gonna let you.
They're not like the baby.
She saved your ass, okay? Because I was about to light you up, but you're right. You know what? That makes sense because they are babies. Like we can see babies, they don't mind being called babies. They moving around baby like, but they also like know how, like they know what the equipment is, and it's machine, like you know what I mean. It's
right, they're like they're having conversation, like right, like why did my parents abandon me? Like
right,
like
they're like very self-aware and very
in that level,
but also babies in the sense that like, oh my god, you hugged me, like I love you. We're best friends forever. Grab the pinky or whatever, which is like, as a person with no kids, if the baby got a pinky, you'd be like, oh my god. But so yeah, that makes it, that's fair. And because I was sitting there like, say it again, because he kept doing it. And I was like, I don't understand. We have established what is happening. But so that makes sense because like they are not the average baby. It's not even because they're in space, it's because they are literally out here like with rocket science knowledge, but also they need to have, they diaper Janes. So it's like they're nappy Janes. So okay, fair and valid. You get this one. RTD. You got saved. You've been touched by an angel, girl. Okay, I think that's all of the soft points. Soft is such a word, but I think that's what we're gonna call it. Like that's pretty much it, and everything else is. I'm not going to say bad or negative or weak. It's just that we have questions, we have thoughts, we have concerns about the politics because there are multiple things are kind of mentioned. So like my notes of all the things that I thought were potentially being touched on, like abortion rights, adoption, the refugee crises, eugenics, and obviously capitalism. Capitalism age old. They talk about capitalism every episode. They be like, oh, this space station, woo woo, because they left. And I'm just like, why are we in space with capitalism? Why can we not leave capitalism if nothing else on Earth? Like, damn, we do not believe in humanity. like we believe in humanity enough that we get to the stars, but we don't believe in humanity enough that we leave capitalism behind. It's just weird,
right? Which is
right. It's just these are. It's a funny dichotomy. So like, I also made a note that like while it does touch on abortion, it does not it's not about bodily autonomy. Like, so that framework is very much about the like broader idea, I guess, of like just forcing babies to be brought into the world, which is the same thing in real life, but obviously in the show they have options. So yeah, those are things that I noticed that I was like, oh, these are just things that they touch on. But I think obviously the more focus on like bringing children into the world and not caring about them after they are born, which is capitalism, which is all of the isms really. Is like who is worth taking care of. Yep, all the isms are kind of covered under that umbrella, but I think that was the kind of bigger theme they wanted to like touch on and really have a point of view about. They also have a point of view about so like the idea of refugees and seeking asylum. Several things occurred. Let's talk about, I guess, the abortion POV, or like what that story is, because I think it's interesting. I have a question about it, which I think changes the read though, and I don't know that it's answered in the episode. Like, they say like, oh, there's the baby farm, it was abandoned. Like, we obviously know that's a capitalism thing. Like, oh, they just whatever. But the law says you can't like destroy or like stop the process of the baby being born. I guess abortion, like you can't have an abortion effectively. However, what is unclear is that a thing that's like this company doesn't want to like continue making the babies.
Yeah, I guess the question of who the children quote belong to is
right.
One that they are, because what they say is that like, oh, the government can't afford to keep the station open, but like, what the hell does that mean? Right?
Yeah, that's like the question. It was like, it made it hard to like really fully think, because it's like there are things that are outside of our control as people in, like, obviously, like if we could control where our money is going, we're not funding the genocide, right? Like this is the thing that we would change if we could do on a personal level. So I'm like, how much of this is like out of the people's hands, or like how much of it is like people just being like, damn, hate that for the baby. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's hard to know where the
like, oh, my baby delivery was supposed to come in March, but well, hate to see it, right? Like, how removed?
That's like, I just want to say, I kind of wish that like certain things they like took away certain things so they could actually answer other questions. But yeah, so it's kind of hard to fully critique it, because it's like, is it a fully capitalism choice of just like this is not financially viable? Is it a ism? Is it one of the isms? Like, oh, this planet got too many of those. Like, we don't know. Like, we have no context for that.
It's especially relevant because of like Ruby's reaction to this, like seeing the baby farm and learning about the like. Either she is understanding something through the doctor's words that we do not understand, or she has really not interrogated this, because like they go in the room, they see the incubators, the doctor's like, oh, a baby farm, blah, blah, blah. She has this really, what I found hilarious moment where she's like, are they growing them for food? And he was like,
right.
And he says no. But then again, to Nick's point, like, we don't get more than that, right? Like, we don't know, are people, again, is this a choice thing, or
like we don't we don't know what we're doing the society
all babies all the time, but
we don't know
any of that knowledge. Ruby is like, oh my goodness, we made it, humanity survived. And I'm like, we do not
it's
know.
So interesting. It's very interesting, because like when Joss is explaining what happened to the station, the fact that she's like, I was just accounting, I was just here, but I didn't want to leave the baby. She's like, yeah, they shut down the station, but it was illegal to basically have an abortion. I don't know what the face version of that is, but whatever. They couldn't do it legally. And she was like, oh, I get that. So she's very much acknowledging the parallel to like current politics of like body autonomy or whatever. But yeah, it kind of doesn't necessarily gel with like her read on humanity.
I just feel like if I feel like
that would not be positive. Like, there we still about this bullshit.
The doctor, even without meeting Jocelyn, if I went into the future and the doctor was like, oh yes, this is a baby farm, it is how people are like growing.
Like, I feel like I could take that, because
I would just have a follow-up question.
No, yeah, I would have questions, but I could. It wouldn't be
before be like, look at us.
Believing it or like understanding the function of it would be the easy part. It would just be like social, like society-wise. Like, are we giving is it Krypton where we all have elevated to where we just like we don't do the
like
sex.
Girl, this could literally just be like a slave breeding ground.
Like, right, that's what I'm saying. Like, about? I just need the context. Right. So like it's like she's like, cool. And I think she's also just taking because the doctor is like, no, it's just a baby farm. She's like, bet it's just a baby farm. He said it's just a baby farm, it's just a baby farm. So I'm gonna take it that she just went off of his energy and was like, okay, this is not something to be alarmed about. So I'm not gonna be alarmed about it. But I also love that she's gonna say, oh, we made it, but also like, and we brought all of our fucking politics with us. We brought all of our capitalism, our racism, and all this with us. Like, maybe we shouldn't have made it. Maybe we should go back to where we came from and start over or nothing. But
oh my gosh.
So yeah, it was like the lack of clarity around the societal like understanding of the baby farm situation made it hard to judge how good it is or effective it is at its point. I'm like, I don't know what the hell going on. Like it made me think of the adipose. And like the adipose Earth was the baby farm. They sent them down there, gave us the BBL.
Don't do it. You are not allowed.
Just know that it's playing in my head. Just know that it's playing in my head. Okay? Just know that it happened. But that was
without it coming up.
I edited the notes to make sure that I wouldn't even have it written somewhere specifically. But yeah, like I was just thinking about that, and we kind of understood even in that very brief time how that functioned. Like I feel like we had like 7 minutes to wrap all that to get that. Like this is what they do. They send a baby, they come pick up the baby, they take them back to the planet, they do this. Like I just feel you could have did that. I thought y'all could have. You clearly know how to do it. Like you clearly know how to give us a good summary of the society who does this. Well, it was just unclear. So it was hard to really like. I'm like, I don't know what the hell going on.
And for me, it was one of those things that like, it on like the best case scenario, it's just like, oh, this is confusing and inconsistent, and like you could have done it better. And like worst case scenario, I feel like it into what I consider like harmful ideas of like, as long as some people keep existing, and we can say, oh, humanity made it.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell happens to anyone else to get there is irrelevant, right? Like this idea that like, as long as the human race persists in some form,
right,
all is good. And that kind of felt like it came up in them like, again, random, unnecessary, why mention of like, oh, and at this time, all humanity is speaking one language, which comes after Ruby saying that Pacifico del Rio is English,
which is clearly not. But maybe
it is not.
Maybe she's been from the Americas. I don't know why she said it. We was like, cool.
And we were like,
and then he says like, oh yeah, all of humanity speaks one language, and it's roughly or something similar, like roughly Cantonese. And I was like, okay,
there's so much happening.
We're gonna pause right here. We're gonna pause right here because first and foremost, I think there is like if we had to put a number to like the most spoken language, I think it is like some version of Mandarin, right? So okay, how much have it? But it goes back to that thing of like, do you think that's a good thing? Do you think that's
it's being presented
conformity and like everybody? Now, if you're saying we all know there's a universal language we all know, that might be different. But you say, oh, everybody speaks the same language. I deliberately speak not the same language to other people. I use AAVE to fluster you. Like I know that you don't know what I'm talking about because it ain't for you to know. No, it's like like language that has a right communication. Yeah, but it's also a way to like identify your communities. I don't know about what the hell I'm talking about. There's like a whole sub culture that like I don't want everybody to know about that or be a part of it because it's not for them. And I think of language in that way of like, I think there should be a language. I think we should all understand each other, right? So cool, boom. We all understand Cantonese, fine. But we all like that's all like now. I don't like that. I don't like the concept that we just all speak the same language. So it's cool.
I was like, I don't know.
This is one of those things. It's just like that.
I don't.
It reminds me of like those like when people find biracial people with red hair and freckles and like black eyes, and they're like, this is the future. I'm like, no.
Yep, that was the exact energy.
Like, that's what it gave. It just gave like we're just gonna make everybody nondescript. Now, mind you, those people are not nondescript because like in our world today, there are a lot of other phenotypes, but they will be nondescript if that's the default, right? Like if everybody is this, why would we do this? Like, why do you want to be the same? And I mean, like the same. I don't know. It was one of those weird things. I was just like, but that's literally. I saw the exact post of like racially ambiguous, light complected. It could be from any continent because they are nondescript. That's kind of the point of the post. They don't really look like they're from a place because they are meant to look like they are from everywhere, right? Like I was like, no, we are not the world in this one. It was just one of those. It was like a little tidbit, but it was like one of those things that like when as we were talking about it, I started thinking about it more like it may be bad in the moment, but at the time, it was not the worst thing. So I didn't really lock in on it. But as we were talking about it, I was like, duh.
Yeah. And I think it only like got to that for me as like a build on of everything else, right? It's
yeah, because it's like the future is looking kind of nasty. It's looking a little dastardly over there. I don't know about this future here. I don't know if this is dystopia.
It's fresh because I want. There are things that I want to love about both the Doctor and Ruby that they will make it hard to love if they're going to continue in this like uniformity post racial but still capital weird, right? I want to love that Ruby has like a Black family and like a community around her that is like more diverse than we with like some of the other companions. But if that is going to be fed into like Ruby doesn't see color and the future,
right.
I mean, there we go. No, I don't want it. Shut it down. Like
I want her experience as a white person raised in a Black household to be that she understands how color colors her entire life in a way that like a person who's only been around white people, even if you've been around people of color, but you've never lived that experience in any way. Like, I don't know. I don't need it to be remarked upon, but I don't need the opposite of it, like being remarked upon as though it is not the fact. Like, it's like I think a thing they're doing that I think is fine in the moment, and I like it, is like the reiteration of like the normalization of like people being adopted, people like having found family, all these other things that like a lot of people live that experience, right? A lot of people, even people who are not legally adopted, raised by the grandparents, raised by aunties and uncles and the cousins or whatever, like y'all all best friend, aka auntie. You know what I mean? Like if you be a grown person before you realize you are not blood related to this whole family you've been raised around, like that is a lived experience a lot of people have. So I like the normalization, like the just we all out here. You know what I mean? Like we all here. We have chosen family, or people picked us, whatever. I don't mind that, but I don't want it to be a thing where it then becomes like, and the kind of, I'm like, I slightly have to jump. You know, I'm not gonna. I'll just do it on the next episode, only because I don't remember where this happens, and I don't want to accidentally be like ahead of it. But there's just certain things I'm like, is it serious or is it not serious? Are we like, is it something we care about, and that we think is important as a characteristic or as a like story point, or is it just something you want to say so that people know, like just to say it? So it's something about like I don't want them to like minimize it or make it, like you said, you spend this whole series reaffirming, bringing up and like talking about like the adoption, and then at the end of it you don't actually have a follow through or have some kind of a larger point. So it's like, damn, you just saying it. You're just saying words with no like meaning behind them or no like weight behind them. It's one of those things. It's one of those things that is, I don't want them to like keep I'm trying to explain this. Like, and I think this episode might exemplify. It's like a problem introduced in this episode that I think is going. No, it's not introduced in this episode. That's a lie. There's a thing. No, it's a thing of like wanting to make a point and take a stance, but not actually doing that. So it's like you'll make a point and then undermine it in that same episode to the point where I'm like, I definitely don't know what your point is. So like in the first 60th anniversary thing with the whole like gender ain't shit, you are whatever. It's like non-binary, but then it's like we are women. A man can never do this. I'm like, bitch, that's the thing. You just all that scaffolding you built up and just tumbled because you said a man would never do this. But like you immediately just made it. You took away all that nuance about gender and the way that like I was just okay. Whatever.
It's because you want to make this point, but you haven't fully interrogated it, right? And like at this point, we are available.
Like I mean, readers please just let me glance at it. Let me just take a gander because I can point out stuff immediately. I'm like, because several people had to read it. Several people read it was like, no, actually, this seems like a foregone conclusion. It literally undermines the whole premise of the episode when you take it back down to like a man would never make this decision. Like I thought we just said that like people are not one or the other. Okay, period. Okay, point blank. And it could have been a point in the thing too, but they didn't give time to make it a point because they just threw it. They threw it in there like, we got this for you. Could have not said it at all. Could have just said the doctor. The doctor would never make this kind of choice because it's the doctor. The doctor beating freaks. The doctor think they the shit. You know what I mean? That would have been fine. No, but it's fine. Whatever. My point is, multiple times by this point, because they also do it in the Christmas in Ruby Road. It's kind of like they do the thing where like you making a point about
the one white child is missing, and then everyone.
It's like right. That's what I'm like trying to explain it. Like you make it a positive like thing about adoption and like found family, but then you make it we're also like this family is not able to be a real whole family without this white child. It's like it's just like you keep almost getting there. You get so close, god damn it. You be so it's like more frustrated because you be kind of really close. It would be like going back like Moffat. The thing about Moffat is he was never close. So once you operate from a place of he's not going to touch on anything you give a fuck about, you can have a good old time, right? The problem with RTD is that he almost gets there. You go, oh shit, okay, he on the pad, and then
that's what I'm saying.
Like, he runs down the way. Like, what happened? Like, what? Where? At what point? This is like where I get into my conspiracy theory, and I'm like, somebody like one of them big boss.
Yeah, it's like writing something, and
that's what I'm saying.
Rolled back,
right? And then being like, because I didn't think it at first, and I was like, I hate when people like, oh, the big, the big wigs, the money people make them change it. I'm like, that people barely look at these, like they trust the people they put in place to do what they're gonna do. They like do not care at that level. But also at the same time, I'm like, maybe Disney is like, nah, we gotta run that back. I don't know, but it's happened enough where I'm like, it don't feel like. Every episode it feels like you are at a point and then you are like, that's close. But let's back it up a little. It's the fact that it always feels like you are close to it. If it didn't feel close to it, if it didn't feel like you were almost at a point, it wouldn't be frustrating. It's so frustrating because it's like you are so goddamn close to a point that like now you're pissing me off because that means you at a point. You know there's something real to say about this. There's a stance to take on this, and then you don't take it. And it's weird because the doctor has hard opinions. Now, is the doctor always right? No, but the doctor has hard opinions. Mm-hmm. Like there are a lot of whole episodes, RTD wrote many of them, where the doctor is like, that's outright wrong. This is outright boom, ba, ba, ba. And this is very much not that. It's very much like, oh, I mean, it's a little dicey. I don't like that. I'm not liking that. Which goes into like our second political thing, which was about the refugees. There's like the point made of like, oh, we're right over the planet, but they can't come get us because if they can't come get everybody or something to that. I forgot the exact word, but basically like they can't come get you because then that makes them kind of responsible to go save everybody or something to that level.
Not even just within the episode, because like I think what Jocelyn says is something like this is the plight of refugees everywhere.
That's what I mean. Like it's a blanket
made as a statement,
right?
Broadly about a refugee experience that was like, okay, you have to know that this is a statement for the political moment that we are in.
Right. And the problem with the statement is that it is not interrogated. It is not. So like my note was like, I don't know if the episode is critical of or has any kind of question about the statement. Like I think the episode is like, this is what it is. And that's tricky because I think
having a statement about every refugee in the universe is what she says. And again, framing it as fate goes to your point, because like, no, it's not fate, it's policy.
Right. It's
like, right. Like, no, it's not.
But it's like even in this, even within this, the framework of the episode, the way it's described, I'm like, I understand from in the broad, like I'm looking zoomed out at the universe, like people can't go save people, right? Like they can't leave to go save everybody who needs saving because they would never be able to save everybody or whatever. Okay, I will let you have that. We can have a disagreement about what that means for real, but we talking about a mother, like a station, okay, that is visible from this planet. So you telling me that I get it? You can't go out and save everybody. You can't save the that people also, on your orbit.
As far as they know, just has babies, right? Like it's not like a warship. It's not like they are gonna need to battle.
Babies that I think were intended to belong to something. I don't know who these babies are supposed to belong. I mean, that is really the question. But maybe it's better they didn't go where they were supposed to go. I don't know. We don't know where the baby was going, but we do know that it's like a couple dozen babies on this ship. I'm counting the ones that were not hatched or birthed or whatever the word we're using for the situation. I don't know what the terminology will be for that. But y'all can go get these toddlers. Like these are babies. Like these are little small babies. Even if they were not babies, even if they were the age they're supposed to be, they still on the space station.
Right.
What if they break something and it come crashing down to your planet because you let these fucking toddlers run the space station? Like I just don't understand. Like in the episode, I was like, really, I gave them the initial overall broad statement. Like this happens to refugees, you know.
I won't even give them the statement.
Not to give them that, but like it's like a statement that by itself is just a statement, right? It's like you are saying a thing. Refugees have to find safety. That's true. It's fucked up because we can see them, we can save them, but whatever. But in this episode specifically, you are showing us out the window. We can see we out like. Y'all can't see it, but DJ can. We look at glasses are on. I'm looking down like, oh, there go that planet. If it's visible out a window, it's close enough for you to save the babies.
Little children.
Like, I don't understand. So it's like, if you are trying to make a political point about like the plight of refugees and like, it feels to me, the way I took it kind of was like a soft, like a hard enough stance on people like not help, like they are right there, right? So it's like, what is your excuse? What is your okay? Yeah, you can't help everybody. That's a fair statement to make, right? Like you literally cannot help everybody. There's always going to be somebody who needs help. We need to like do what we can. But y'all are very much like, damn, they up in space, like they right there. Can't do nothing for them, but you gotta, they can't. What are they supposed to do? Like literally get a fucking ship and go get, like, it's not like you're not critical enough of the fact that they won't come and get these babies. Like you're not angry enough about the fact that they are floating above a planet that has asylum. Because it's not even just like, oh, you floating over a random ass planet. You floating over a planet that specifically is a part of an organization or a part of a network that like the UN, but I guess it makes sense. Sense.
Uncritical
because
that we don't even get to see the babies delivered, right? Because they have done episodes where the doctor will pop up somewhere and be like, y'all out of line. Let me tell you all the reasons where you fucked up, and like you better not do it again, right? They could have had something of like an acknowledgement, or at least to like see them to safety.
No, it's like, not critical in the slightest.
It's not even that. So like you are okay. So we're supposed to expect that. Okay, everything is good because they now have farted their way to this planet that has ignored them for 6
They
years.
literally farted.
And we're supposed to believe that they good. Like,
that
we're supposed to
planet.
believe that Jocelyn
They
was
were
able to
received
get
with
these 12
open
right. Like,
arms. Yeah.
without the doctor's interference. That don't
And
make
we
any
just
sense.
we're taking it at face value that they accept refugees and they offer asylum. But at that same face value of, but they let us sit up here, unmonitored, unchecked on. Because even if we don't know what the hell going on, like, y'all see that fucking, like, should we call? Like, should we, like, can we send something? I don't know what's going on. Because I don't think it's supposed to be, like, whatever. I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm like, if you want to make a point and you have the opportunity to make a point and to say something for real, say it. Don't just be like, damn, refugees really be needing places to be safe. Hey, it's also a detached point of view, right? Like, refugees need safety, or like they're looking for safety. But it's like, from what? Like, let's say the things. Like, also. And then it's weird. Right. And like, and what are we let's talk about, like, let's circle back, or like go back further to, like, why are there this many refugees? And you know what I mean? Whatever. It's fine. I don't expect this episode to do everything. My point is, you could have literally not said shit. That's the main thing about it. It was a part of the episode that didn't need, it would not have changed the story at all to talk about the refugee crisis. You could have literally just been like, it's a planet down there, but they don't know we up here because we don't have comm. We ain't got no politics. They're gonna be like, okay, well, we just gotta fix the comm. We can get over there. Nothing. They have to add none of that extra shit. And now you like, nah. And you have them comment upon it like, it's just a state of thing. Mind you, this is the future. It's supposed to be hopeful. But now I have, this is a dystopian story that is very much like Terminator level of just fucked up. But we are seeing it from a very minuscule point of view. Come on, nigga, future. We speak in one language, so we all probably look alike too. Fuck it. That's where I'm going with. We got refugees all over the place. So that means we clearly still on that bullshit. Like, clearly still out in space, colonizing, doing violence,
not
breeding babies, not raising babies. Right.
You can just like be like, well,
turn off
20 of them.
And then
breed 20 more.
Like wild about it, what's more wild somehow than everything else, is the fact that, like, it was a space station that was manned. And they said, damn, we can't afford it. Everybody leave. And nobody take one of these babies. Like, y'all, you telling me a group of people just said, damn, hey, they had to be that way and left them babies. That
right. What does it say about the larger society?
Right. That's like, this is not a great world to be in. This is the world. And ... I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but you'll figure it out. That's what happened. You know what happened? Yeah. They didn't have no chance.
But Ruby's sitting there like, man, look at us. We made it.
We made it. She's like, frankly, I get it from the perspective of, like, I'm honestly surprised that we got off the planet before that shit exploded. Oh, from that perspective, it actually makes sense. I'm very surprised that we managed to take lift off, because there was real raggedy down there. We was able to get there, get off the planet. And so if the bar is hell, then yeah, we made it. It's definitely a sentiment. We fucking did it. We did it. And we will continue in faith. Because we'll be faith.
We gotta get I don't want to spend too much time on the, like, genocide point, because I think it's very connected to the refugee.
I think more so just like there's a level of casualness about it that I'm not yet concerned, but I'm growing concerned about, of like, you can't just be like, it was, little genocide. Like, you can't do that. You can't keep doing it, and you can't do it today. You definitely can't. Like, y'all should have maybe got somebody with the voiceover to come and maybe change it. Like, y'all should casual about it. Like, the ADA, like, come back. ADA?
Well, whatever. It's annoying because the doctor is clearly, like, saying it in a way that he believes carries weight and intention, right? And Ruby reacts in a way to him being like, yeah, there's this genocide on Gallifrey. Like, I'm the only person left. And
I mean, I kind of like that
don't-
she doesn't immediately receive it as like, and then she's like, after she saw the baby, I don't know what happened to her personally, where she was like, oh, he said genocide. He said the gender. Like, it did not, as a person with some kind of neurodivergence, I understand that. It's like, you know how I am with lyrics. Like, I will hear the lyrics, I can sing the lyrics, but I don't receive the lyrics. And then you mind your business, you drop it down, you're like, oh my God, this song is about, whatever. I very much felt like she just like, dang, that's, whatever. Like, it was just emotion. Like, she didn't fully grasp it. And then when she had like a context for it, she's like, oh shit. Woo!
It's not necessarily in her response. It's just in the framing. I don't know.
Yeah, but no, I think he's very casual about
that. The doctor has used that specific wording before to talk about the Time War. I think
this is the newer thing.
And I think it's definitely newer if that has been the case. And I think that they have to know, especially given like the critiques and boycotts of like Disney right now.
That's why I was like, they should have cut the people
that, like
ADR. I think that's what it's called.
This was gonna like land away. So it's just fascinating to me.
Right. Because I know they feel like I recognize that things are filmed away like a long time ago. I'm gonna give you that, get the voiceover, okay, get the ADR, have them come in and say, my family died, whatever. Like, I don't care. It don't even sound like that nowadays. Right, they actually sound right. It was the fact that they say it. It's the fact that they say it, and it's the fact that like they are saying it, and I like that they're naming it. I like that it's being named. We're calling this shit, calling spade a spade, right? What it is. But I also don't like the casualness with which they are saying it. They're just like, damn, a little, like they make it like it's a thing that just happens, and it's starting to piss me off in a little bit of a way. Because like it always was that. It always was. They're not changing the story. That was always what happened, and that was what informed the Ninth Doctors, is that he's operating from a place where this is fresh, and it happened. And then obviously several things occurred. It kind of re-happened. I don't know, timey-wimey, but like we as the audience recognized, or maybe we didn't, but like it had always been that situation. So like naming it, I like it's like this was a genocide. This was the like end of a race, end of a people, end of a like culture. Boom. But the fact that they just like saying it like Starbucks closed down. And I'm like, bro, it's just you saying it's like there's not at the moment. And this might be one of those things where it's like they say it casually because it's just the reality. And then there's going to be a point where that like you are faced with that reality in some way, and then it comes back. But at the moment, I'm like, y'all are being so, it's like taking the weight out of it. And in this moment in time, it feels like the wrong choice. I think it always would be the wrong choice, but I think there's something specific about like lessening the weight of it and making it less like that's major no matter who it happens to, right? It's major even if you are not a part of the group itself. But think about it from the perspective of the person within the group that is being eliminated, right? Like you cannot be casual, and you can have worked through it. You can have processed it in a way where it's like, I can talk about this and I'll break down, but you also can't be flippant. You can't be like in a place where, oh, it's just a thing that happened. No, that's crazy. And like, you talk about it in a way where like, it's important, but it's like, you also are not, I don't know. It's one of those things that like time and like more episodes and how it comes back up and how they address it when it does come up will decide whether or not it was handled in a way that feels appropriate. But in the moment, it's a little casual for me. I'm like, can we maybe take it down some? Or like, I don't take it up some? Like, what? Have more feelings about it. And that's wild. Normally we like, damn, he just be carrying this shit. It's like but now he just so casual. I'm like, damn, we went too far into the just vibes. Like we just kicking it, ain't nothing phasing me. But I will say Shooty is a good enough actor that like even when there are moments that I feel like are written away and they could go multiple ways depending on just the word if you was looking at it on paper. And I do feel like he is bringing more weight or more intention to them than maybe that was on paper. Because I feel like if I read the script, I'd be but now I'm watching him do it. I'm like, okay, no, I think there's more to it. I might that might just be me trying to make it make sense for me. But like, I feel like there are times where like his face looks sadder, but he's smiling, right? Like he's smiling, saying a word, but he does not look. It's not the smile isn't reaching his eyes, and I'm like, that feels like a choice to kind of show that this is not as casual as he's saying it. But you also have to like be intentional about these things. You can't have it where like
right. I think it has to be in like, the script too. It can't just be
right. It can't be
performance.
Right. It can't be like Star Wars for like everybody like, you know, like John Boyega and Oscar Isaac are like, we're playing this as these people are together, like they gay, whatever. Like maybe they joking, but like that's how they played it. The chemistry, like they boyfriend, and like the script does not do that, and they do that, and so yeah, it has to be both. Like it has to be intentional, and I don't know yet where if it is, and like it's a growing concern. Yeah. It's not. I'm not there yet because I'm willing to give it time because I think that's kind of the point of art, right? Like, the point of a character arc is like this becomes more like this makes it has a journey, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm willing to go on that journey, but I'm also like, y'all, this is not the time to be soft or like flippant about this topic. It never is. Let's be clear,
right?
Right today now, you have to be more intentional about how you present certain things because people are living that. People are living that. We are watching people live that.
And it comes up in the next episode too, but we'll get there.
Right. So, child. Oh, we can do some quick. I think we got most of them closing in earlier. Like you talked about, I have the whole universe at my fingertips, but I'm all on my own. So I love it if you came with me. He was very like, I don't want to do this by myself. And I love that for him. I love the directness about that. I like that it's not framed as her needing him. Or framed as like, oh, I'm doing something for you. It's very much like, I want you to come with me. I like that. That was a good change for me. And I was like, period. Because we all know, they say it amongst themselves, like the companions, like he needs us. He needs to not be alone. But the doctor be acting like the doctor got it. Until obviously, you know, they done been through some things and $5 million. They're like, he be like, I need you. Because this shit's out of control. And you be like, yeah. So I like that he was just direct. I already said earlier that like I can't and I won't. He's not taking you to see Miss Lady. It's not happening. But my favorite one, and also like I wanted Ruby to have a question about it, and Ruby did not have a question about it. I've met a million ugly bugs. I'm an ugly bug. Now, again, this is fact. Because I always think about this show from like the perspective of somebody on the ship minding their business. Like, this man gonna come over here and just fuck up our whole operation. Like, that's a wild way to live. Like, he is a villain, depending on perspective. But it's just an interesting, like, he just said it so casually. Like, I met a bunch of little bogeys, okay? I'm the boogeyman. And Ruby like, yep, bet. I personally want to know why you would put yourself in the same category. Because at this point, they don't know the boogeyman is one of like the babies or whatever. So you be out here killing people. Give me an example of how you relate to this monster. Let's talk about it. She was just like, damn bad. And I kind of like it. I kind of like her. Like, I'm not going. That is a coping mechanism. Like, that's the thing people do. Like, I simply don't want to know. That's the real thing. I do it in a lot of instances. There are times where I'm like, I would never Google this. I never want to know enough information about this. But because of the situation that she's in, I feel like maybe a few questions would be warranted. Why would you say this about yourself? Am I in immediate danger from you? I know I'm in immediate danger in the situation, okay? But from you. But she's like, nah. She just let that roll. Both of them did, really, but Ruby's the one that got to stay with him. So, or maybe not at that point. She hadn't accepted yet. It was still dicey. It was 50-50. But yeah, so I like that. I like it as a quote, but also like hate that it's not at all like interrogated. Because I would personally be like, maybe in like a couple episodes, she'd be like, what time you said? I don't want to bring up no old shit, but remember that time you said you would look the bug? Like, I have to kind of hope it comes back. I will say that things have come back that I was like happy that they have come back in this like so far in the like RTD, the new RTD era. So maybe, but I was like, why would you let that sit? Like, I would have to put the hand up. Like, let's have a quick talk about that. Your quote crazy. Go ahead and let the people know.
Which one are you laughing at? No, I just thought.
The last one.
Oh,
it was so much.
Yeah. Again, Jamie just saying a whole lot because the doctor.
This is
again
about
talking about
right.
Talking about his the genocide that he has experienced that happened on Gallifrey, and then Ruby is like, man, you know, how are you still like standing and going? Which is like not the question. Like, I don't think that is an appropriate response.
I mean, I think it's like
someone's confession of trauma. Like, I don't think you're like, damn, how you managed that
the worst thing ever. Like, damn, how you made it, boy, you did it.
Like you can express
I think I understand Ruby as a character, and my read is very much like
I get it. It's a very real reaction, but it's also like my least favorite reaction for someone to give of like and so but anyway, the doctor
they were like, you trooper, you made
it does this thing where he's like, oh, for days like this. And then it's like, I don't have a people, I don't have a home, but I don't have a job either. And then starts talking about taxes and shit. And it's like, just like, I have freedom. And it was one of those things that was just like, so
it was too many
unnecessarily heavy-handed. So it was too weird, many things. So detailed in a way that like the doctor doesn't really.
And it also like, again, and like, it's not excuses, but like, it's not, there's no upside to what we're talking about. Right. And like it kind of framed
an attempt to be like, oh, the doctor really understands the human condition. But like,
no, because he don't.
Yeah, that was not a convincing way to say that.
Right. And then also it's like, because the thing is, there's a way that they could have made this exact same point. This again, when you so close, because like we know that like there was friction.
It literally could have just been, I don't have a people, I don't have a home, but I still have my freedom, and cut out all that middle part stuff.
But like, I think even with the like, I don't have taxes or I don't have a job, there was a way to even do that within the story that makes it. Because remember, maybe not, I don't know what lore you know, but like the doctor and the Gallifreyans, they were beefing at multiple times in the past. It's like, you ain't supposed to be out there doing all this bullshit. He's like, I'm doing what I want. So there's that element of like that control or that attempted control is going. So I have, again, freedom, but like what more context? But it was just like, I got to pay taxes. Sorry, you have never paid taxes. You didn't have a job. Monica had a job. Don't even get me started talking about some goddamn taxes. Sir, go to hell. I'm not gonna play with his ass. That's all I was like, some of these quotes, I was like, I'm not doing this with him.
And it's also just like,
like
it's just,
but it's also not a good way to make to what we're talking about. We're not talking about like, oh, you can't fly back into your country because your visa expired. You like, yeah, but ain't gonna pay taxes. I will let that rock. He's not gonna pay them 20% tax, whatever. You saying like the millions of people
have died.
But you know what? Guess what? IRS ain't knocking like that.
Yes, it did not land well in general because it was it was not well written. And
it was not well written. They didn't have a lead up or like some kind of other joke or something that's building off of either. It wasn't like a callback to an earlier part of a conversation. It's nothing. It's just like, let's just say a thing. It's too many things
I was like,
that don't need to be said. It's just too many of them. Everything. So many things don't need to be said. The whole refugee thing. Literally. Again, if you want to make this point, I'm with you. Let's have an episode. But I feel like this show is right with opportunity to talk about refugees in a real way. Right. It's like it can be in so many ways, right?
So anyway, I was like, this was terribly done. And I am like, I hope that this is not like, I just don't want him. I don't want
it's too casual
to be the doctor whose character is just like trying to do too much at once, right? But and which ends up being cavalier because there's no
right because you're not right. You're not. You ain't really talking about anything because you're talking about everything,
right? Like, and that's why I'm like, I don't like. Please don't do this. Like, please don't ruin this moment for him and for us with like with that bullshit.
Right.
That was the one. And then the other one, which I feel a little bit better about, was just his like, the question is, why did I run? And so like in the episode, you know, the doctor's trying to figure out like why his first instinct when he saw the boogeyman was to kind of like bolt instead of like react with curiosity. And eventually, you know, he has an excuse that he has for it in terms of like sound frequency and blah, blah, blah. But like, I just like that moment of interrogation. And I think, you know, something similar comes up in the next episode. So again, I love the moments when it's like, there might be more going on with the doctor, right, than we're seeing. And this was one of those. So
that's definitely a thing. I'm like, I feel like it's coming through in the performance that I'm like, I think obviously they are ahead of us. They read scripts, they know. And so I think there's a level of like, I'm trying to have trust because I feel like they are performing in a way where these things that seem very flippant and casual and not like, are not being remarked upon within the episode, seeming like they may have weight or being acknowledged as like, this is not a light thing to say, or this is not unimportant. It's just not important for the story in the moment, but hoping that it's one of those things like we watch the season later after having watched the finale or something. We're like, oh shit, like that was really building up to XYZ. That's my hope. But yeah, some things I'm just like, y'all gotta, you need to stop. Like, I don't know what about. You need to quit. Quit it.
Well, thanks for listening, y'all. We've gone on a journey. It's the first episode back, so we'll tighten it up. We'll get it together. And BNC Baddies will be able to join in the next ones, which will be a fun time too. Until then, you can find us at blacknerdscreate.com, on the site formerly known as Twitter at BLKNerdsCreate, and everywhere else at Black Nerds Create. Talk to us on socials using the hashtag Tarbis and tell us what you think about this episode, Space Babies.
Peace.